A Nigerian family currently lives in the southeast of England is in big trouble with the law. Thank you very much for joining us today. This Nigerian family, the man, it comprises of the father, mother, and 3 children. This man has lived in the UK for many years. He left his family in Nigeria. Uh, he owned the children, and their mom only moved to the UK to come and join him less than 2.5 years ago. This Nigerian is a British citizen. He haven't lived in the UK for more than 18 years. The problem is that the daughter, who is 11 years old, disclosed in school that the mom physically chastised her. And because of the risk of harm, children's services were notified and social services became involved, and they had serious concerns about this case to the point that the 3 children were removed from their mother's care. If you know anyone who currently lives in the UK who has children, this story that we're about to share today, they will benefit from it because they will learn from the experiences of this family so that what happened to this family, it doesn't happen to them. As we currently speak today, these 3 children, they are in the care of the authority. The parents, they are only having contact with this child. To make matter worse, when the daughter disclosed in school that the mother physically chastised her, the parent refused to cooperate with local authorities. Now, if you're watching from outside the UK, anyone who is below the age of 18 is classed as a child. The law in the UK says that the government has a duty to keep children safe. So if your child goes to school and discloses that he or she has been chastised and children's services became involved, and at the end, if they deem that the children are at risk of harm, the children will be removed from your care. I speak because I have first-hand experience on this subject. I am a social worker in the UK with more than a decade, more than 10 years experience. I see a lot of cases like this. Black children are disproportionately overrepresented when it comes to children's services involvement. And the reason is physical chastisement. When you are in Nigeria or Africa, you can chastise your children, you may get away with it, but when you try that in the UK, you are in serious problem. And a lot of these families, the biggest problem they have is that even though they have chastised their children and the authorities are now involved, instead of them to work with the authorities, they will become uncooperative, become confrontational. Instead of, if you don't know something, you ask question. As we speak now, this matter is so serious that this family may not see the children again because the family told their extended family in Nigeria, their auntie and their uncle, to call this child who is in foster care with foster carers. They are telling this child, they are putting pressure on this child to go and beg their parents. These children have been removed because of the behavior of their mom. Instead of the parents to work with the authority, they are not telling their extended family in Nigeria to talk to these children. And those ones are not telling the children, go and beg your parents. The children are at risk of harm. They were removed because the authority decided that they are at risk of harm. Instead of the parents to work with the authority, they are telling people who doesn't even know how the system works in England to tell these children to go and beg their parents. Their pastors are calling from Nigeria, telling these children to go and beg their parents because they brought shame onto their parents. My name is Francis. If you're seeing my face for the first time on this channel, we share content about legal migration, and we also educate and inform our people. One of the greatest mistakes anyone can make in life is not to learn from other people's mistakes. If you learn from other people's mistake, what happened to this family, it will not happen to you. I'm telling you, I see this a lot in children's services. A lot of, especially African children. You move to the UK, instead of you to take your time to study the law in the country, you will not study the law. When you have contact with the authorities, instead of you to work with the authorities, you become aggressive and confrontational. As we speak today, this family may not see the children again because the authorities are so concerned. They couldn't understand why the pastors, the extended family in Nigeria, their auntie, their uncle, they were calling this child, telling this child was crying. The child told the carers, who are the carers that are currently caring for them, that they do not want to speak to their family again because every time they speak to their family, they are upsetting them. So you can see this as clash of two cultures, because in Nigerian and African culture, it's it's normal when you have a problem to invite extended family into it. But the issue is not the extended family, because the extended family they are trying to help. The issue is that this father has lived in the UK for more than 17 years. He ought to have known better. If you know anyone who lives in the UK who has children, please share this video with them. Tell them that they can learn from this family's experience. The red line is, when you live in the Western world, you do not chastise your children. If you chastise your children and you leave a mark on their body, you are in for serious problem. That is something that, if you know anyone, if you're watching this video now, you know anyone who is chastising their children, you need to tell them that is not acceptable in this society. So as we speak now, these children are now in the care of the local authorities, and the local authority is now seriously concerned to the point where they are saying that they are not going to allow the children to have unsupervised contact with their family again, because they feel that every time the children have contact with their family, it is causing them distress. Mom is not even, she hasn't even shown any remorse. When she sees the children, she's still saying that, oh, I can't believe that the child I raised will make this kind of serious allegations against me. I can understand. But here we are, there's a problem. What she needs to be doing right now is finding solution to the problem, working with the authorities to make sure that she work with them, address their concerns, so that the local authorities can assess whether these children can return home. The social workers are doing their job. That is what the law says they can do. Instead of fighting the social workers, call at making things difficult for themselves, work with the authorities. So if you know anyone who is currently involved with children's services in the UK or any agencies, because you have to understand, when you come from a different culture, the way we speak and express ourselves is different from the way you speak in the Western world. If somebody is talking to you in Nigeria, is shouting, you don't think that that person is aggressive. You just think that they are passionate. But in the Western world, when you when you present like that, people are going to form an opinion that you are aggressive. So these are the things that you have to understand. You have to work with this authority, because a lot of children, we are seeing this several times, especially those that that recently arrived. They come into contact with children's services, and even though they are wrong or they are unaware, they becomes uncooperative, defensive, making things worse for themselves. The man is saying that the woman is saying that what the daughter did, the daughter to come and apologize, despite the fact that she's telling the social services that, because that is what the pastor is telling them. The pastor who is not in the UK. You are calling a pastor who has never left Nigeria before to advise you about what is happening in the UK. At times, you use your hand to cause trouble and you say it's spiritual attack. How can you be relying on a pastor who is 4,000 miles away in Nigeria to come and advise you about life in the UK? Instead of you to speak to people who have lived here, for them to advise you on how you work with the local authority to get your children back, you are relying on a pastor who has never left Nigeria. If you know anyone who is planning to relocate to the UK or who currently lives in the UK, please share this video with them. Black and African children are disproportionately overrepresented in care. We have to stop this. We have to stop this. This is not good. Everyone knows that the best place for children is their family. However, where there are concerns, work with the authorities to address the concern. Becoming aggressive and confrontational is not going to help you. Relying on the advice of a pastor or auntie or uncle who has never left Nigeria to advise you, it's not going to help you. It is not every time you use your hand to cause problem and you start saying spiritual attack. This is common sense. Common sense. Now, when I spoke with their father, because someone gave them my number and told them that I am a social worker. For those who doesn't know, a social worker in the UK and most Western society, the social worker are people that work with vulnerable people like children. Their role is to keep them safe, to make sure that they are not at risk of harm. So if the police become involved and there are children involved, they will refer the case to social services because that is their role. So someone gave them my contact and asked them to reach out to me to advise them. I advised them. Initially, I was trying to advise the mom. She's only been in the UK for less than 3 years. She still has the mindset that the daughter must apologize. The daughter must apologize. She was saying to me, the daughter that I carried in my womb for 9 months cannot do this kind of thing to me. Listen, there is a problem right now. What you need to be doing is working with the authorities so that you can get your children back. You make this family, the concern is so serious that they may not have their children back. And what has made things worse is the extended family that they are calling from Nigeria, who are advising them and telling the children that you should have to go and apologize to your parents. So please, if you know anyone who currently lives in Nigeria or in the Western world, because the law in most Western society, the state, the government has a duty to keep children safe and make sure that they are not exposed to risk of harm. If you know anyone who currently lives abroad or who is planning to move abroad, I am pleading with you, share this video with them, tell them that they have to make sure that they do not chastise their children. It's not acceptable in the Western society. It is not acceptable. And when you come in contact with the authorities, you have to make sure you work with them. You're never going to win. You're never going to win. There's only one outcome, which is you will lose. You cannot win against the social services because they are an agent of the state. So whether you like them or not, work with them, resolve their concerns so that you can have your children back. I feel sorry for this father because he has lived here for more than 17 years. And he said to me, say, look, this thing, my wife doesn't listen to me. She came to this country less than 3 years, but she thinks that she knows more than me. The man broke down. He was crying. He was crying when I spoke with him. He said, look, you can I've been in this country for more than 17 years. Nobody has ever known me. No, I have never had any problem. Since this woman came, I did not want to bring this woman to this country because of all this thing. But people say, oh, things are not getting better. Bring them because the children are growing. Let them come and go to school here. That was why I brought them. And now look at the problem this woman has caused for me. I feel sorry for the brother because what he was saying, I can relate with what he was saying. So he was saying that if the woman is not in the picture, he would not have this problem because the woman doesn't listen to him. So please share this video with your family and friends or anyone that you know is planning to relocate to the UK or abroad. Tell them that they can learn from this man's experience. You in life can prevent something bad to happen for you by learning from other people's experience. You do not need to go to prison to know that prison is not a nice place for you to experience. So that is the message that we have for you this afternoon. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Our goal is to help as many people as possible to legally migrate, but at the same time, we have a duty to educate and inform our audience. That is our message. Have a nice weekend.